Hey everyone, the name is Victor, and today I want to talk about deep conversation and holding and managing deep conversation around other people. Let me tell you why this is such an important skill. Okay, think about privacy. Think about the concept of being private. Often we all have a need for privacy. Some need it more and some need it less. And for those of us that need it more, often deep conversation can help mitigate this need. It can help make sure that while you do get and still need privacy, you can also be private around other people. So what you're looking for is the ability to hold deep conversations with other people and to be able to bring outside the depth that you feel inside. So first, what you need to know is what is depth and how do we understand it. First, everyone needs depth, everyone has depth, everyone has something underneath the surface. No matter what type you are, depth is there, and depth is something important, and depth is something meaningful. Depth is everything beyond, the surface motivation or what we said in a moment or what happened. It's that process. It's not just like what we do, but it's the process behind it. So it's why did we do it, what was it that brought it about, and how is it all connected. Depth is like a big black hole of dark interconnected thoughts and experiences and processes and images and everything that ties everything together. So depth is basically how you connect all the dots inside you into one singular thing, into one singular aspect. So the thing with depth, and the reason why everyone avoids depth and struggles with deep conversation, is quite simple then. Because often, depth is associated with dark. The deeper you go, the darker things get, the more muddy things get, the more hard to see. So the question of why is quite difficult, because it requires you to go very, very deep. And, it requires you to put things out there, and it requires you to be a bit comfortable in the dark. Most people associate deep with sad. There's a troubling association with deep and sad, and this comes from personality. Often it's the case that extroverts look at depth as sad because depth is more internal, where everything we can put outside, everything we can put out there is associated with light and bright and happy and with calm. So the extroverted type can make the association that going deeper or being comfortable with depth requires you to be a little bit sad. So you get a lot of extroverted types that say, yeah, I don't mind being sad for a bit, or I can handle depth and I can handle it even if it's a little bit difficult. But you also get those that are afraid of depth because it is sad and because they don't want to be sad, those that always want to keep things bright and happy and cheery. So the extroverted type can basically be summed up in those two directions. How comfortable you are with being happy and with being out there, and how comfortable you are with being a bit dark, even if it makes you a bit sad. So for the introvert it's very different. For the introvert this association doesn't even exist to begin with. It's never been the case that I associated dark with sad. For me, I've started to share something and somebody had said, "Oh, that's sad," and I'm like, what? Is it? For me it's not. For me it's like actually cheerful. For me it's actually happy. Like the thought about it is not that sad at all. Okay, it might sound difficult, it might sound dark, but for me it's like a relief. It's like a rush of energy. When I'm starting to share and when I'm starting to understand and dig deep, I feel suddenly light and bright, and I feel like my mood has lifted. When I'm talking and having deep conversation with somebody, I feel so light and so bright. But for the other person it can be such a different experience. For the other person it can be sad and profound and, oh wow, and is that really so, and wow, that's so heavy, and yeah, that's so difficult. So the associations to depth is such a different thing depending on whether you're introverted or extroverted. And this is perhaps why there's this annoyance with small talk. And like I said, not all extroverts dislike small talk, but all extroverts perceive small talk as bright and light, while all introverts perceive it as heavy and difficult and tedious. So for an introvert to engage in small talk and just talk about, your day, what's happening, that's That's actually something difficult. You know, deep conversation is easy and light, but small talk is hard and heavy, you know, to talk about everything you're doing on a day and where you've been and who you're meeting and what's happening and what you're going through. That requires you to like actually put yourself out there and put your life on display for someone, to share everything that's happening in your life and to bring about every thought. You know, it's very difficult for me to tell you guys what's going on with me, where I am, what I'm doing, what I'm working with, and what's happening at work. You know, like, it's hard for me to share these things because they, to me, are heavy things. To me, like, talking about those things, that's difficult. So often it's the extroverts, they can actually perceive it as being uncommunicative. I get it a lot from my extroverted friends, like, what's going on with you, what are you up to, what's happening in your life. And what I notice is I struggle with both deep conversation and with light conversation. I struggle with conversation as a whole, and I struggle with conversation, and I struggle with deep conversation in particular because I don't want to make other people sad. I know it makes other people sad, even though it makes me happy. So I refrain from deep conversation because I don't want to make other people sad. But I forget that, you know, not all types mind being sad, not all types have a difficulty with this, not everyone will have this issue. And I feel many times relieved when I can talk to introverts because I know they don't feel this way, but sometimes I think they do. Sometimes I assume that they will also think it's sad, and they will also think it's heavy. So I refrain from deep talk even with introverts, and I think a lot of other people might do as well. What I try to do is I try to make deep conversation light, but that also ruins it and closes it. I say something heavy or I share something deep, and I end up with something happy and positive and cheery to try to make up for it. But that also closes the topic. When you say something sad and then end it with happy, other people have no idea how to talk back to you, and that's why I struggle so much with conversation, because I close everything I start. Every time I start something, I close it, and when doing this, I make it impossible for other people to connect to it and say, yeah, I felt that too, or I've also had that difficulty, and I've also had that struggle, and oh, that's, yeah. That sums up my problem with deep conversation. I hope you liked this video, and I hope it helped you. Thanks for watching, and leave a like, share and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.